Hey, hello. Real quick video, everyone. We're just going to go over a little bit of information on Master Farad Muhammad, who was Elijah Muhammad's teacher, and he brought the information to Black America and to America that started the Nation of Islam, which was, for that, is the Supreme Wisdom Lessons by Master Farad Muhammad, and it is to the lost found Nation of Islam. So the Nation of Islam, we are, the Black people in America are a lost part of the nation, which is a global nation of Islam. We are the original people of the planet, and the Black people in America that which is the American descendants of slaves. We underwent the 400 years of slavery servitude, and we know we did this under the white people of this nation, strange people, strange land. And yeah, so Master Farad Muhammad is the one that brought that message to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I made this video inspired by a post by Taz and Nyla Says, which both of them I love. They're very great commentary. The only thing is, it's not just them, but a lot of people over there at Sinetta's corner and a lot of other people, they tend to, just verbally just disrespect Master Farad Muhammad. Now, some of y'all have the different pictures. We don't even have to go into the debate. We're going to take all pictures that they say. Even let's say that the criminal, which Elijah Muhammad challenged the FBI and Ed Montgomery to prove that Wallace Dodd Ford and Master Farad Muhammad were the same person, they could not do it. So I don't know why a lot of Black folks want to believe that Wallace Dodd Ford, which is the guy with his head slipped back, who was a prisoner in San Quentin in California, why that's the same guy as, Master Farad Muhammad, which Dr. Wesley proved that that wasn't the same person. But even if that was the same person, we know for a fact that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, you got his birth records, you got his parents, you got when his first son was born, you got the state and the district, so you can check the census records of when he was down there in Georgia and Winona, Georgia, and Deep Step, Georgia, the 101st district of I forgot the county, but the point is he was down there in Georgia. His first son was born. They were poor. They were up there in Macon trying to make a little bit extra money, but his first son was born in 1921. Okay, they came up from Georgia, the boys and the father, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's father and his brothers came up to Detroit so they can start making some money because they were very poor down in Georgia. Then they brought their wife and kids up. He met Master Farad Muhammad. Now, Master Farad Muhammad, we're taught that he came into the United States in 1910, and he met many different people, did many things, and set up a lot of stuff before making himself known to us and teaching us Black people. And of course, once he began teaching us in Detroit, he started in 1930. He built up a lot of following. There are people that seen Master Farad Muhammad. This is not some spooky guy in a ghost. Many people seen him, and he was not a complete white man, but his mother was white. His father was a Black man, and that's according to what he told Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He was born in 1877 in the holy city of Mecca, Arabia. And now over the years, and he taught the Honorable Elijah Muhammad for 3 years, about 3 years and 4 months, and he left. and he sent the letter. I think the last communication that I've heard of, he sent the letter to the messenger from the Mexican border. Now, another thing, it doesn't matter whether you believe that Wallace Dodd Ford and that picture of Wallace Dodd Ford, who's the criminal, and they say that this man was born. We got one report that he was born in New Zealand, and then some people now they want to say that he was born in Pakistan. Then now we got some other. This Wallace Dodd Ford has all different types of. They're continuously feeding the people different stories about. Then they want to say that he got his knowledge to teach Elijah Muhammad in San Quentin somewhere. Okay, let's just say that's all true. The fact remains that this man taught Elijah Muhammad, okay, and whether you're a Muslim or not, all of the Black history that stems from that interaction, all of the knowledge over the years. So we're talking about not only the hundreds of Muslims in the country, not only Muhammad Ali, Malcolm X, Khalid Abdul-Muhammad, the Sabi, all of these Minister Farrakhan, Wallace D. Muhammad, and then all the schools, all the businesses, and then the people that stem from those businesses, the ones that we can know of, big and famous, and there's many in every municipality that we don't know of that change people's lives, change families' lives. So this man, Master Farad Muhammad, he changed Black America. So true enough, you can go into his history and you can say who he was, whether he was in jail or not. Calling him a fraud is not valid, because a fraud is someone who lies and then takes more than what they give back. That's a fraud. And I'm going to play a couple of videos just so we can get a little bit of information. So I know y'all can't see this, but I want to hear a little bit what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says about Master Farad Muhammad.
Man that the Bible said that prophesied.
How he met him.
Well, it just came to me like this, that this is the Son of Man that the Bible said that prophesied that will come in the last days of the world, and that I couldn't get that out of me. And I shook hands with him, and I said to him, I say, you are the one that the Bible prophesies that will come at the end of the world under the name Son of Man and under the name the second coming of Jesus. And so he looked at me a little stern, and then he smiled and he put his head down to my beside my head and whispered in my ear and said these words. He said, yes, I am the one, but who knows that? But yourself. And be quiet. His mother, he says, was a white woman, and his father was a Black man. Yes, sir. He taught us that he was born in Mecca, Arabia, and that he had come in and out of this country for about 20 years before ever that he made himself known to us. He had studied, he says, out here, or rather he had enrolled in the California University there, and he lived with a white family out there, he says, while he was going to the University of California. How long he went to this university, I don't know, but he says to me that he did go to this university and enroll there. and other universities he mentioned to me. And finally, he told me this, that he had studied every educational systems of the civilized world, and that he could speak and, well, speak 16 languages and write 10 of them.
All right, so that's what I wanted to get that out there. Now, that's what we deal with consistently. Now, that is from Elijah Muhammad. Now, of course, you got skeptics. So we, especially in the Nation of Islam, where we got some members that think in a more religious fashion, so they don't like any challenges. But we put the information out there to be challenged. But we are already taught that this information is ancient, so it is being passed down. So when we find that this information, when people find that this information is other places in the world, it doesn't surprise us. We already expecting that. We're looking for the other places where this information that we've been taught is, because those are the connections that we are supposed to make. Another big thing about why a lot of people want to disrespect Master Farad Muhammad and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is because the definition of God, whether you say that you believe in God or not, you say it's a fairy tale, the definition of God that we have been drilled, that has been drilled into our head, is a spirit, a make-believe type of entity, someone that we can only feel, you will never be able to see. And that is the main thing that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was changing in that first generation in the foundation. And so this is from Message to the Black Man. I'm just going to read a couple pieces. He says, for thousands of years, so who is that mystery God? That's the first chapter. For thousands of years, the people who did not have the knowledge of the person or reality of God worshiped their own ideas of God. He has been made like many things other than what he really is. The Christians refer to God as a mystery, a spirit, and divide him into thirds. One part they call the Father, another part they call the Son, the other part they call the Holy Ghost, which makes 3 1. This is contrary to both nature and mathematics. So the point he's making there is you never had the reality of God. You just made up stuff in your mind what you thought it was. You don't know what you're talking about. So the original idea of the supreme being never was imaginations, except that's what ignorant people just made up. So God is the force. So he gave us a real showing of a real God in men, in a person, in people. So the originator, that God has a physical reality as well as a mental and a spiritual reality. But there's a physical reality of God. And that is the biggest difference. And that's kind of probably the most scariest thing to a lot of black people, because we want to disrespect the physical form. We can't follow a man. And we really are taught to disrespect physics, okay? And that is science. So I want to get to this other part where Dr. Wesley goes in, just proving. Now, I just want to deal with the Ed Montgomery picture, which is Wallace Dodd Ford, who's not, in the Nation of Islam, we do not believe, that is not Master Farad Muhammad. And we know that the FBI played a trick. That's the thumbnail picture that I have in front. The guy with the head slicked back, that's not Master Farad Muhammad. And that is Wallace Dodd Ford, which is a deceiving tactic of Ed Montgomery, which was in the Los Angeles Herald, I believe. And then the FBI. They wanted to try to discredit intentionally, and this is in their records. They wanted to intentionally discredit the Nation of Islam, because they wanted to make Elijah laughing stock, because people were following him. because he makes sense. So they began their efforts to try to demonize, to force you guys and force us as Black America to demonize Master Farad Muhammad. Because if they can get you to demonize the foundation of a thing, then they can separate the message from the people, from the messenger, and then they can redefine it for you. And that's what's happening. So a lot of y'all feel it's your choice. You want to talk about, you know, Master Farad Muhammad and his ASS, or, you know, he was a white man, and you haven't studied. This is pretty important. But I guarantee you the white people are studying everything that we have, and they're going to take it from you. They want to take it from you, but they can't. They're not going to be able to take it from us because we're ready to deal with them. And that was the point. It was to get us ready to deal with the entire world as a nation. But it would take time. And the times that it's taking, the length of time, because we believe that God is magic and he can just poof and make a thing happen like that. That's never the way it worked. And we need to get it out of our head. And even the people who say that they're not religious anymore, you still have that, you know, that fairy tale idea of the word God in your head. That is not God. It was never God. God is not magical. You know, God is the most powerful force that can get things done in the universe, the most powerful creative force in the universe. So let me deal with this on Dr. Wesley Muhammad.
In its quest to locate W.D. Farad, they did a year investigation on Wallace Dodd Ford. They interviewed Hazel Burke. They sent agents to New Zealand and contacted his family. At the end of their year-long investigation of Wallace Dodd Ford, they produced a correlation summary, summarizing a 52-page correlation summary.
He's debating natural Tahuti here. And Tahuti just threw it on the ground. He took the page over there and the proof over there to him.
They said it was not definitely determined whether the individual referred to as W.D. Ford in paragraphs 2 and 5 above was identical with the subject of this summary, W.D. Ford. They said it was not definitely determined. But he said the FBI concluded that Wallace Dodd Ford and W.D. Ford were the same. That's why he just spoke. He didn't have any documentation. FBI 5, CG 2532097. See, just put the serial number up there. And think we're supposed to believe him when he tells us what it is. I am not a child and I am not your damn slave. You show me, and I'm going to show you. In connection with efforts to disrupt and curb the growth of the Nation of Islam, extensive research has been conducted in efforts to do what? Disrupt
and curb.
Disrupt and curb the growth of the Nation of Islam. Extensive research has been conducted into various files maintained by this office. Among those files reviewed was that of Wallace Dodd Ford, which they concluded was not definitely determined that they were the same. It is felt that if the whereabouts of Allah, of who?
Of Allah.
This is FBI file. If the whereabouts of Allah could be inconclusively determined, that inconclusively, the impact on the lives of Muhammad and his followers would be tremendous. It could well serve to make Muhammad appear ridiculous. The lie that Wallace Dodd Ford and W.D. Ford are the same as part of the counterintelligence program to disrupt and curb the Nation of Islam. They had determined that in 1957, they could not determine that they were the same one, but they got more firm on the non-identity in 1963. Because in 1962, the agents who they sent to New Zealand contacted Ford.
New Zealand.
Relatives or cousins showed him a picture of W.D. Ford, and he said he is not him. And in August 2nd, 1963, J. Edgar Hoover, the lie that he is trying to sell you originated in a Los Angeles Herald Examiner article written by Ed Montgomery. Ed Montgomery got his files, was sent to him by the FBI. Black Muslim founder exposed as a white. Reverend Chuck Singleton, I'm sorry, Brother Natural Tahuti said that the FBI determined that the two are identical. This article was sent to the FBI, or a caller called the FBI inquiring about that article, inquiring about whether W.D. Ford and Ford were the same. This letter, August 2nd, 1963, from J. Edgar Hoover regarding the article. J. Edgar Hoover says, Farad has been reported to be both Negro and white. However, fingerprint cards, he said fingerprint cards are ironclad. Is that what he said? He wants us to believe the fingerprint cards. But J. Edgar Hoover said fingerprint cards and identification division records at time of arrest, so his color was white and of Arabian descent, not New Zealand. If you're going to quote the documents, quote them right. You lied on me, you lied on the FBI. The FBI don't need help lying.
So that's Wesley. All right. And then I got one other thing for you guys to look at. Y'all might not be able to see it because I don't know how to do screen sharing. But a new piece of crap that they've put inside of the mix to try to confuse people about Master Farad Muhammad is, I think they found some kind of draft registration certificate of Wallace Dodd Ford, and this registration card, order number 623, number 7, register report 4-417A. They got name in full, Wallie Dodd Ford, but then there's a parentheses and then a Ford there. And then the two handwritings look completely different, but whatever. So this does look pretty good, like the handwriting on our Supreme, on our letter. My name is W on our letter. But yeah, this letter says he was born basically in, first of all, he put on here that he's born in, where were you born? Afghanistan. Now, remember, the FBI want to claim that Wallace Dodd Ford was born in New Zealand. But now they want to produce this like this is his record, and it says Afghanistan. And then on the front of that same website, it says that the place of birth was Oregon. So you see a lot of twists and a lot of games, just misinformation. And that's the last thing I'm gonna play for y'all, and then this is over. It's just we need to stop. I mean, this is history, and when you learn history, you don't want to get into all of the crap. But there's it's a big motivation of our enemies to confuse us about the foundation of what's our Black American history. And you think that Farad Muhammad was not a Black man. First of all, how can you get mad at this man? First of all, he have knowledge supreme wisdom he had. He only came to us 3 years, and he came to us on all about 4 years, because before he actually met the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he was teaching first in public. He came among us 4 years, teach the man that he wanted to teach, and he left. So he would get up. So the black people did it all themselves. How can you even disrespect a man like that? You can't say that he came in and did it for you. And no, he came in, taught one of your men, gave him an assignment, and he left. He got out of there completely. How can you disrespect that man because he was in jail? Or because even if you believe all that, because he was in jail, or because he was from New Zealand, or some of y'all want to say he was a fraud. I mean, what kind of money did he take? So here's white people. Now the white people, you got Harvard studies on Master Farad Muhammad. Harvard University, they're digging deep trying to find Master Farad Muhammad. The FBI don't know where he went. Nothing showed up. And I'll tell you some of the stuff that the Master Farad Muhammad taught the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He taught him about stuff that y'all laugh at. The making of the white people through a selective engineering process through genetic graftation. So now today we know, and even they admit in all of their archaeology science models, that the white skin and their blue eyes are not more than 6,000 years old. And they originated over there in the Aegean Sea area, Black Sea area. So that's admitted today. But back then, no one knew that. They thought that white people were first because it was Adam and Eve. They taught us that the moon comes out of the earth. Taught us that the moon comes out of the earth. And no one knew that at that time. But now today that is admitted. Taught us that that there was the phenomenon of what they call now UFO, which is the mother plane. He taught us the details that it was made, taught us what the purpose of it was for, taught us the life on different planets. Now, they're just not admitting the UFO phenomenon. And they've been knew it, but the American government is just now bringing it in full circle with the Navy pilots. So these are just a couple of things. So if you guys want us to disrespect our teachers, it don't make sense for us to do that, because the stuff you guys are just now accepting, because you guys, some of you guys, you left religion, but you look at government documents as religion, as complete law. And you can't do that, because your government is people, and people lie. And that's been proven. So you gotta use your standard of truth and falsehood by what you can corroborate in the universe, in reality here. So that's the main thing I want to do. I'm gonna make this a couple more clips, because I think this is interesting. This white guy named John Andrew Morrow. He's wrote a 500-page book talking about finding W.D. Farad. And his book is on Amazon, and he's pretty sincere. Looks pretty sincere as far as from what I can tell, as far as this particular interview. And even the guy named Paul Guthrie, he's did a lot of good work. Him and Wesley Muhammad, and we enjoy the challenges, because that challenge is what's bringing us to dig deeper as well, and that's in the nation. But I'm gonna play this part here. This is what they think about, according to his research, he believes about the Master Farad Muhammad.
And the three are kind of in a trinity, at least in their theology.
Yes.
So was Farad sincere? Because he didn't collect any money after his departure, and the Nation of Islam became very wealthy. So do you think he was sincere in his attempt to guide or give Black people sovereignty?
I address all of these issues in the book. It depends how skeptical one is. The Nation of Islam generated an enormous amount of money during a very short period. And then, I mean, did Master Fraud just, cash in and check out? Apparently, he was driving a brand new car. One is his former partner met him.
I think he had a truckload of cash and robes and stuff too, right?
Yeah. I mean, Elijah Muhammad insists that that is not the case and that the Nation of Islam wasn't rolling in money. I've discussed this a lot with Dennis Walker, who wrote the introduction to my book, and he certainly doesn't believe that Master Farad was a scam artist. Why? Because if you study the way that cults are organized, they're designed in a way to maximize profit for the cult leader. And you don't want to be wasting money on all of these followers. But yes, the Nation of Islam generated an enormous amount of money. But Master Farad also spent an enormous amount of money on his followers, on infrastructure. He was operating all of these schools and these temples. He was giving back to the community and to his followers. There are some people who are skeptical, and they look at the history of Master Farad, how he spent time in prison, how he was involved with drugs, all of these problems that he had with his former partners and so on, where he would just disappear. Some people look at his history and say, well, okay, this is just a continuation, okay, that he was a chameleon and so on. I would like to believe that he was genuinely sincere and that he was concerned about the situation, the dire situation in which African Americans found themselves, and that he was sincerely concerned and helped.
So that's interesting there. There's another couple pieces on this guy that I want to get out that was pretty interesting that I found. Hold on a second. Let me get to the right spot. This guy is he's a Muslim. He's from Canada. To me, he looks a little Jewish mixed, white Jewish mixed with it. But they claim he's Native American, I guess. Native. Yeah. But, $5 Indian. But, hold on. But he does make a good point here. Pretty interesting.
I met a scholar, Saad Sadoum. He's a Christian scholar, and he writes a lot about the different religious minorities in Iraq. And so I met him, and I read a copy of one of his books. I obtained a copy of his book, and I was reading through it, and I learned more about one of these Ghulat groups from Iraq, known as the Ahl al-Haq.
Now, also, there's a Ahmadiyya Muslims. So another thing, if you know anything about the Nation of Islam, we got the 12 scientists, 12 minor, 12 major scientists. Now they call them 12 imams, and this, and we already know that this is not brand new stuff. That we didn't just get everything from nothing. So, and we have been given information to connect us. Okay, because we're lost and found members of the Nation of Islam. So this information is also given to connect us. So other people have been given the same information. Okay, and at the right time, we will find out, which is we're finding this stuff out now. So just remember that. And that's one somebody, I think Nyla thought that she found something pretty new, because she seen that we teach some stuff that the Ahmadiyya Muslims teach, but it's not pretty new. And That's why I don't be afraid to put out information, especially if you're putting it out especially just be a little humble, because sometimes we think we done found something to expose somebody, and we're imagining an outcome that's not going to happen like that. All right.
Now, they're found in Iraq and like Kurdistan and so on in Western Iran. They're also found in other parts of the Muslim world. These people are found in Afghanistan and parts of Pakistan. So they're extremist Shiites. And they have a holy book. And do you know what the name of that holy book is?
Supreme Wisdom or something?
Yes, it's the Supreme Wisdom. So Master Farad appears in Detroit.
What's the word in Arabic?
It would be, I think, Hikmah al-Uliya or something like that in Arabic. The book is actually, I believe, in Kurdish. But nonetheless, it is literally Kurdish. The Supreme Wisdom. And this is their holy book. Their other holy book is Khutbat al-Bayan, which is the Sermon of Manifestation, in which Ali attributes all kinds of divine attributes to himself. And then they have another holy book, which is a book of numerology. And so you have Master Farad, who appears in Detroit, talking about the supreme wisdom, talking about God in human form, and teaching mathematics to the people. Just a week or so ago, I was at a conference on Imam Jafar as-Sadiq and his contribution.
All right, so that's that. There's another little part here that's interesting that I want to put in this video. And then that'll be it.
Who claims to be teaching Islam, and they're talking about the 12 Imams, then you would assume that this person is a 12er Shia, or perhaps one of these Sufi groups that follows the 12 Imams, like the Bektashis. So he's teaching Elijah Muhammad, he's teaching his followers about the 12 Imams. He also teaches that the Imams control creation. And so this, again, is a belief of the delegators. This is one of the beliefs of the Hulat Shiites, that the Imams actually control creation, that the control of creation was delegated by God to the Imams. He also, when speaking of these Imams, and he didn't just call them chiefs, he used the word Imam. He describes them as being gods. Now, okay, where did this come from? Well, again, who believes that the Imams are gods, the incarnations of God, the manifestations of God? Well, again, the Hulat Shiites, these extremist Shiites. Now, they have many different names, and they're found in many different countries, and they speak many different languages and so on, but they all share the same beliefs, essentially. So he believed in 12, well, he taught about the 12 Imams, that the Imams control creation, that the Imams were God. He speaks also about the 12 major Imams and the 12 minor Imams, and this is something that we also find in the Hulat or extremist Shiite teachings. Obviously, he spoke about he presented himself as the Mahdi and so on. Obviously, the Sunnis believe in the Mahdi as well, but the way he described the Mahdi and so on, it seems to be more in line with the teachings of 12er Shiism, especially the Hulat and manifestation of that.
So now that's something that we need to research and learn about. But my main point with this particular video is that Black America, we've been given something that is truly important. We don't need to, I mean, you want to research it, go research the heck out of it, go deep as you want to. But we've extracted enough benefit in our national power base, okay, that we got something special. And that something special was given to us by Master Farad Muhammad. Why are we disrespecting the name of that guy? You know, why just present your information, and whether you believe he was Wallace Dodd or whether you believe he was, just present your information. But one thing we do know is we weren't talking like this before. Okay, Noble Drew Ali, he has something, but he didn't have the knowledge to protect it, and then the enemy was able to kill him. Marcus Garvey, he had something, but he didn't have the knowledge to protect what he had. And then the enemy was able to beat him. And that's pretty much, so we came up, but the enemy was just much wiser than us. And so they were able to defeat us. So prior to that, prior to Master Farad Muhammad teaching the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the wisdom and how he taught him, we didn't have anybody that had that wisdom to protect the and grow the power of our revolutionary force to be able to protect it from this stronghold of this enemy. So we don't have any reason to disrespect that man's name. Of course, people will do it anyway because that's what we are, because that's our mindset. But for anybody who's, rationally thinking, it's not important to do that. All right, that's it. Super Mike out.